Happy football, everybody. Dallas Cowboys training camp has started. And for FortWorthStarTelegram.com here on Dallas Cowboys Overtime, I am Fort Worth Star Telegram sports columnist Mac Engel coming at you from Fort Worth. Meanwhile, that good-looking gentleman there on the other part of this screen, yeah, he's in California. He's at Cowboys training camp. And I have a lot of reasons to dislike Clarence. Right now, this is probably the apex of my loathing for Clarence, because right now it's 68 degrees in Oxnard, California, where Clarence currently is. And I'm probably not going to get over this anytime soon, maybe ever. So, Clarence, why don't you tell us exactly what the weather is there in Oxnard, California?
I mean, it's cool. I mean, Cali cool, Cali chill. I mean, when I was in Texas, we're talking about the heat index.
Yeah.
We're actually talking about wind chill. I mean, the temperature may be 65, 68, but it feels like 59 with the wind chill off the water, man. I was at a restaurant the other night. They had to close the doors and the windows because it was so cold. Everybody was cold inside. Cold.
Yeah, it's the same. Well, the same thing's going on here, except the only difference is we're doing it to make sure the air conditioning air doesn't get outside. That's a big deal in this house, which is to keep the damn doors closed.
Yes. So
we're not trying to keep outside cool, where right now we remain in a stretch of 100-degree days, which feels like no less than 95 consecutive days. And when you come back in August, I guarantee you it's still going to be 110 degrees. So enjoy the weather out there. We all hate you for it. But let's get on to the topic at hand, which is the Dallas Cowboys 2022 training camp, where Jerry Jones held his annual state of the team. And it didn't take long for Jerry to come out swinging with screw-ups, which is my favorite. He comes out and refers to one of his good friends who is no longer with us, the former Dallas Cowboys director of scouting. Jerry Jones comes out and he has to issue an apology not long thereafter for referring to the late Larry Lacewell, a man you knew very well and really one of the great guys and one of the more colorful characters in football and certainly in the history of the Cowboys. Jerry calls him a midget. Now, Clarence, when he said it, did you all in the media look at each other like, oh God, here it comes? Did you know right away?
It was funny because Jerry was trying to put the whole offseason in stock and talk about all the deaths, and he was remembering people, Marilyn Love and Gary Brown and Mary and Barbara, and talking about how difficult the offseason was, with all the off the field stuff plus the deaths, and so he goes from somber, and he actually was in tears regarding Maryland, to coming to Lacewell and cracking jokes, and he was trying to be endearing, but he just stuck his foot in his mouth when he went with the M word. You got to say the M word, and there was a derogatory term for little people. It's like, we just knew, like, oh, it was 3 minutes in and it's already off the rail.
When I heard it, when I went back and I listened to it, Clarence, he means well.
Yes.
He means well.
Yes.
Especially regarding Lace, Maryland, all those people, but especially regarding Lace.
Oh, no doubt.
And so I hope people understand, like, he would have probably called Larry that to his face. Probably did.
Oh, no doubt. And everybody loves Larry. And I was at dinner, we were having, I was remembering Larry, and he was a triple dipper. You don't want to share chips and salsa or anything else because he was a triple dipper, and put his whole hand in there, his knuckles, and like, I don't want any.
I'm good.
Do not want any more salsa with you because you're a triple dipper and you stick your knuckles in the salsa and then lick them off your fingers. No.
Just out of curiosity, I'm going to put you on the spot here. So if you can't come through with this, it's okay. Do you have any? I have one Larry Lacewell story that I'll share here in a second. Do you have any ones that you can think of that stand out?
I mean, there's so many, and I don't think they're for public consumption. I mean,
okay.
I've seen a toasted Larry Legs go up many nights on that
Right.
bus.
I remember, Clarence, I was covering the NFL scouting combine in Indianapolis. This would have been like 2008, and you weren't covering it this particular year. I was covering it, and this was the year that Jerry put a gag order on everybody with coaching staff. So Wade Phillips, Wade Wilson, anybody who was there couldn't talk to the media. And myself and Todd Archer, who was with the Dallas Morning News, I had broken this little story. It became kind of a big deal because it was the Cowboys. So Todd and I one day spend the entire day waiting for Jerry Jones. I'm talking like 5 p.m. to about 1 a.m. You've done those stakeouts before. And Jerry comes in. He's mad. He's mad at the local media. I don't remember what for, but he was mad at us about something. And Larry comes in behind him. And Larry's talking to Todd and myself. And like you were talking about, Larry's a little toasted. He's like 2 sheets to the wind. And Larry said, "Oh, don't worry about it. He'll be talking to you guys by tomorrow." Sure enough, he was talking to us by tomorrow. And Larry always treated us really, really well. Like I said, I know you know him a lot better than I did, but I always found him to be really engaging and fun. And like you said, endearing. But let's continue on with Jerry at his very best yesterday, which is at some point he had to talk about the elephant in the room, and that is Mike McCarthy's job security. And Jerry, who is the guy who basically put him there in terms of the curiosity of whether or not Mike will be back next in 2023, comes out and says, "No, what are you talking about? Absolutely not." Mike's sitting right next to him yesterday at the podium. And Jerry comes out and tries to quell any thought that Mike's in trouble. Mike was mad about it, by the way. Jerry tried to come out and say, "No, I've got full faith and confidence. Mike's an amazing coach." Do you buy it?
You know, I think that he's actually put more pressure on him. He's kind of it's a setup, you know, because now you say Mike can win us. I'm convicted that Mike can win us a championship. He's a Super Bowl coach. So if Mike doesn't get to the Super Bowl, I can move on from Mike. You know, it's like the dreaded vote of confidence. You know, it's the vote of confidence. But the thing about it is that Jerry, you know, we did the 63-minute press conference, and we did like an 8-minute walk off, and Jerry's actually the source of the narrative, because Jerry admitted that he wanted the league to think that Dan Quinn was going to be their head coach, so he wouldn't take another coordinator or a head coaching job somewhere else because he wanted to keep him as coordinator. Well, if you got the league thinking Dan Quinn's the head coach, and the league's thinking that Mike McCarthy's not going to be the coach. I'm like, you helped foster that. And he said, "That's your opinion." You know, I'm like, how's that matter?
With Clarence, I want to make sure I clarify that. Did you have that exchange with him yesterday? When Jerry, you fostered that, and he said, "That's your opinion."
Yeah,
he's crazy.
He said, "I trust my instincts. I trust my instincts." What?
I've been involved in those, and I'm sure there was a part of you that had to be rolling your eyes back into your skull when he said that.
Oh, it's crazy, you know. And I don't know if you saw me and Jerry. You know, we had a few tete-a-tetes yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, certainly when I asked him, you know, it's Jerry being Jerry, and when he talked about at one point saying that he doesn't focus on failures. He only focuses on his successes, and that's what sustains him. And I'm like, Jerry, with all due respect, what successes have you had over the last 20-something years, you know, that tells you you're going down the right path? And he says, "I appreciate your tenderness. I appreciate your," I don't know if you saw that. I did. Tenderness. You know?
It's a valid question.
But I mean, you open that door. But what successes have you had to be focusing on over the last 20 years?
NFC East Championship.
But that's it. Then he goes into, we were close with the catch or non-catch, and we were closer than people think. And, you know, like, but you are what your record says you are. Close don't count. You know, it doesn't matter that you were close, and that's what sustains me, because I know how close we were. Even the fans, you know, I know how close we have come. None of that matters.
No, and I think the truth is, if you're going to be really fair to the Cowboys, there are a lot of franchises out there that haven't won Super Bowls since the last time they did it. Houston's been a joke. Cleveland's been terrible. The Bengals, until they had their magical run back there in January and February, were awful. There's some other franchises too. The Cowboys are held to a different standard because they were the gold standard when the NFL was really, born, so to speak, in the 60s and the 70s. The Cowboys have been pretty good. And at this point, Clarence, I've said this, the Cowboys are a phenomenal entertainment company whose portfolio happens to include a pretty good football team. The Cowboys are pretty good. Do you think at this stage in his life, where he's starting to lose loved ones now, which that matters and that affects you. But Clarence, at this stage in his life, he won Super Bowls. He owns the Cowboys. The family is taken care of forever in perpetuity, unless they just do something galactically stupid. He's in the Hall of Fame. If they win 10 games next year and lose in the first round, don't you think he's all right?
Oh, he's all right. I think he wants to win. I think he wants to prove everybody he can climb the mountain. He wants to let everybody know. He's into that. I did it my way, and you guys who've been telling me I should do something different. That's important to him. I think he certainly wants to win, and he says, I got a birthday coming up. I don't have time to have a bad time. He wants to win. There's some urgency to win. Just how you do it. As he kept trying to find a secret sauce. Trying to win has been challenging for him. And so it's a lot there. But I don't think that he doesn't. The idea that he doesn't care about winning anymore because he's so comfortable, I think that's a false narrative.
I agree with that. I think one narrative that I hear is that Jerry doesn't care about winning. No, that's wrong. He wants to win.
No, he wants to. He wants it all. He just doesn't want to solely win. He wants to win. He wants to make money. He wants to be the most popular. He wants to be on TV. He wants to, be in Hollywood. He wants all of that comes with the Cowboys. He wants everything.
Yeah, and that's hard to get. He's gotten pretty close. Going on what he said yesterday, he did in a backdoor way reference the Amari Cooper thing, and I think it was pretty safe to say, as the tag says right there, Jerry Jones just drove the bus right over Amari Cooper's face, and it was entirely about, in my mind, the fact that Amari Cooper did not get the COVID shot last season. And to him, and probably that coaching staff as well, sent the sign that this guy really wasn't totally committed. Now, I know he was due a big number, and as we saw wide receivers in the offseason get gigantic numbers, Amari Cooper's number, comparatively speaking, really wasn't that big. Can we say now conclusively that the departure of Amari Cooper was entirely about that perception of his level of commitment to winning?
Oh, no doubt. There's no question about that. And it wasn't just Cooper. I mean, he said three profile guys. He was talking about La'el Collins and Randy Gregory as well. And remember, La'el Collins, missed 5 games because of the failed drug test or the missing drug test. And actually, he had a 2-game suspension. But he decided to fight it, and he got a 5-game suspension. And he was accused of bribing a drug tax collector and brought Dak Prescott into it. And so all of that was a factor. Certainly, you got the Randy Gregory thing, and I think the Randy Gregory was thrown in at the back end because they certainly tried to keep Randy Gregory.
Right. Why would he throw Randy in that bus? Because they tried to wait. Close. Why would he try the La'el Collins thing? I understand the Cooper thing. I understand. Why would he try to include Randy Gregory in that discussion and that same group?
Yeah, I don't.
Because
it makes no sense. It makes no sense. Can you check your headphones because your audio is messed up?
Okay. Is that any better now?
It's better.
Okay.
Yeah, much better. But it made no sense. Only in the fact that we're going to we wanted him, but we were only going to go so far with him. And they did. They did not acquiesce to his demands for to take a clause out of the contract. They said we're just going to move on from him, and they really, he did miss a lot of games, and for various reasons, he only had 6 career sacks, and so on the back end they can say, well, we could have kept him if he wanted to, and they could have. They'd have put the clause. They stood by him for so long, but they decided to wash their hands, after the clause and him fighting over the clause. But yeah, it was about Cooper. And he put all the other 2 guys in there. But there's no question that at the beginning of the season, when Cooper did not get the shot, or one of the people that didn't get the shot, and we call it the shot, the COVID-19 shot, which was such a big controversy going into last season. It's about doing everything you can to ensure that you're going to be on the field. Now, we could have been vaccinated and still got COVID, but the fact that he didn't get COVID, didn't get vaccinated, he got COVID. Then he was fined after that, for running afoul of the COVID restrictions. That all that rubbed the Cowboys the wrong way for a guy who you're paying. And last year, he was the highest paid receiver in football, one of the highest paid players on the team. As Jerry said, we expect more.
Now that he's gone, of these three guys who are gone, Lyle Collins went to the Bengals, Randy Gregory's in Denver, Amari Cooper's with the Cleveland Browns. Which of those three do you think the Cowboys will miss the most?
There's no question it's Cooper.
I agree.
There's no question it's Cooper. I mean, as much as, they felt and liked Randy Gregory, he's never had more than 6 career sacks.
No, he was a nice talent. He was a nice talent.
Yeah,
he was just okay.
He's never had more than 6 career. And Lyle Collins was a good player, never a Pro Bowl player. I don't know that Terrence Steele is at his best is as good as Lyle Collins at his best, but given that Lyle Collins may be a declining player, and lo and behold, Lyle Collins is opening Bengals training camp on the non-football injury list.
And I think Gregory's out too.
Yeah, Gregory's open. Yeah, because he had shoulder surgery. He's opened the Broncos training camp on the PUP physical unable to perform list. So the biggest loss from day one is a Cooper, because Cooper is still one of the best route runners in the NFL. He was the team's best receiver last year. I don't care what the numbers say. And as much as they love CeeDee Lamb and love his potential, he has to prove he can be a number one. He has to face number one coverage. And it is not even just about Cooper. It's funny because coming into training camp last season, and we're going to talk about this season versus last season, and there's a great segue into that, but they were thought that, we got 3 number one receivers, we got 3 of the best receiver tandem in football with Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, and Amari Cooper. They're all 3 potential 1,000-yard receivers, all 3 future number ones and potential number one guys. Now, coming into camp this year, all they have is CeeDee Lamb. Michael Gallup's going to miss the first month of the season, possibly rehabbing from a torn ACL, and they got CeeDee Lamb and a bunch of maybes, and so, yeah, they miss Amari. They're going to count on rookie Jalen Tolbert. They're going to hopefully James Washington, who was a washout in Pittsburgh, can help. But outside of that, Simi Fehoko, TJ Vasher, Freifogel from Indiana, you remember him? I mean, undrafted rookie. I mean,
is there any chance, just real quick before we go to the next topic, he's out there. Is there any chance at all they would knock on Cole Beasley's door?
I don't think so. I mean, to me, they would have already done it if they wanted to do it. And he said a lot of things about the Cowboys when he walked out of here. I don't know that they want to go down that road with him. And he was very controversial up in Buffalo last year. It's like we're not trying to hear all of this from Cole Beasley. We don't want any more distractions. Now, one thing I think that a receiver, they're going to use Tony Pollard, a receiver. That's going to help them. He's one of the most explosive playmakers, and you need to find a way to get him the ball, whether it's a running back or receiver. So, he's going to be part of this tandem. Certainly, he's worked a lot at slot receiver. But again, there are a lot of questions. They're betting on to come. There are a lot of projections.
Yeah, and that's great. And you have to be optimistic about those guys. But you and I talked about this before here on Cowboys Overtime, which is when you trust in a rookie receiver. I don't care how talented he is. And I realized, there are guys coming to the league now because of the passing systems now are so sophisticated on the college level, and these guys are so talented. And we saw what, the guy with the Bengals last season, not T. Higgins, the other one, I'm blanking on his name. What was his name, Clarence? The Bengals receiver who was Jamar Chase. How well Jamar Chase from LSU played. I mean, it can happen. But but he was the first round pick. That's the thing about just talking to the Cowboys. Right. We've seen rookies come in and play. We've had Tyron Smith and Zach Martin and Michael Parsons come in and make impact. They were first round picks. Yeah, they were first round picks. And I'm trying to remember.
They weren't third round picks.
Yeah,
they weren't second round picks.
When was the last time a guy who wasn't a wide receiver, who wasn't a first round pick, came in and really tore it up? I mean, Anquan Bolden was the last rookie before Jamar Chase. Anquan Bolden came in and kicked butt. his rookie year. There are so many teams that missed on Anquan Bolden. I'm looking at Jalen Tolbert. I'm like, yeah, that might be a nice player. If he has 15, 20 catches this season, I'll call it a big success. I mean, that's a third year.
Right. He needs more than that. I mean, because again, they're counting him from the beginning.
That's a
they're
lot. All right.
From the beginning.
Let's move on to the next topic where Jerry, I think Jerry Jones has said this every camp, which is the Dallas Cowboys are in better shape to win this year, right? This point this year than they were this time a year ago. And I swear to God, he has said that exact same line for 25 years. Am I wrong in that?
Listen, it's Jerry being Jerry. He's trying to sell. He's trying to get you to buy tickets. He's trying to have you feel good about the season. Again, that's why it sometimes I feel like they're setting McCarthy up to fail. Because this team has decided less talented this year than it was last year. Okay, there's no question.
Doubt.
Okay, but yet you expect him to do more, have more success, more playoff success, to keep his job this year with a less talented team. Now he thinks that they're more mature, they're more committed. They got, getting rid of those guys who weren't committed is going to make them, they got more resolve. The coaching staff is better, a healthy Dak. A lot of things they feel good about this team in their second year, third year under McCarthy, but certainly second year with Dak, and because that first year was a wash with Dak being injured. But you can feel good about Dan Quinn is the second year. The defense is gonna be more comfortable. But to say that you're better equipped to win, I don't know where you get that from when the talent is decidedly less.
No, you gotta sell hope. You gotta sell tickets, and if there's any, and one thing I always commend Jerry about a lot is that successful people ultimately believe that it can work out and it can happen, and that's why if you look at the top of the mountain, you're like, oh, I can do it. And Jerry's always like that, and I applaud that. And I'm also as a football fan and a football observer, journalist, and all these things. I'm like, dude, who are you kidding? Anyways, let's go to the last subject. Kelvin Joseph had an interesting offseason. The Dallas Cowboys' second-year cornerback out of Kentucky has been cleared by the Dallas Police Department for any potential involvement of a murder where he was around a few months ago. Given the fact that Mike McCarthy, as this mentioned, said Kelvin Joseph displayed some humility. That's good to his teammates about it. Oh, I don't know, Clarence. Do you think that gives Joseph any better shot of securing a position on this team and ultimately being a significant contributor to a secondary that always needs help?
Well, first of all, he's not out of the woods. He's just out of the woods with Dallas PD. He's still, is facing discipline from the NFL, and that has not been decided when that's going to happen. So that's a possibility. Maybe that comes this season, maybe that comes next season. But he still faces, the court of Roger Goodell, and we know they move at a snail's pace sometimes.
Yep. So would you be surprised if he gets suspended for a few games?
I would not be surprised if he missed one or two games. No.
Clarence,
but yes, as far as his ability, certainly they hoped he could push Anthony Brown last year. He has the potential. He has the talent. He missed a lot of time last year for a lot of different reasons. Maturity was one of them. Hopefully this may have been a wake-up call for him in his career that he can, take this job seriously and really realize the potential. And that's what they hope.
Clarence, I hope you do sincerely. I do hope you enjoy your time out in California.
I do got one other thing, and like
sure.
I said, Jerry and I had some tete-a-tetes yesterday.
Yeah.
So last night he's detailing his car accident. Remember the car accident from May?
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And he talked about the injuries he sustained, and Jerry was not at fault. Everybody was making all these questions about right. Jerry, and he was not at fault. The guy was in the wrong. Dallas Police Department was in the wrong. Certainly, he went to the hospital. He had some scraped legs, and he actually had a bump on his head. So they took him to the hospital for precaution. He said he was okay, but he's actually being sued by the driver, a DoorDash driver, who was actually deemed at fault. But he's suing Jerry
just for a check.
I'm trying to get a check. Certainly, I'm thinking Jerry's going to settle, but I don't know how this guy can win this case. But he's suing Jerry. So we were just talking about that, and I said, Jerry, you need to stay out of court.
What'd he say?
He just laughed and said, "You have no idea."
That's good.
Considering all the things and all the
I know. He knows what you're talking about. Yeah, that's right. For all of your Dallas Cowboys coverage needs, please be sure to follow Clarence either on Twitter or StarTelegram.com. Clarence did a great job yesterday and every day because I know you're working hard out there by yourself covering the team. Will be interesting to watch. For all of your Cowboys coverage needs, everything else, check us out on StarTelegram.com. We'll see you next time, or pardon me, next week with Clarence remaining in California, and I will be here, stuck in hell, known as Dallas-Fort Worth, with a high degree. Temperature will be 110 today. Clarence, enjoy 66 degrees, brother.
All right, thank you, man.
That's it.